Well, good morning and welcome to students of Standard 9th. I welcome you to the first video of this week. Today we'll be taking up The Beggar, written by Anton Chekhov, who was a famous writer, short story writer and playwright, and is considered one among the greatest short story writers ever. We'll discuss about Anton Chekhov, but before that, the basic idea behind the story. There are few self-righteous person who think they have the power and ability to change people's life. They affect them, they have the ability to affect them positively and give them a livelihood as if they are God sent father to them. And how just because they had enough money to spare for the poor. But the truth behind how kindness and concern and self-devotion is the true factor which has the real power to change people is the basic idea of the story. Let's begin. Basically, there are people who feel just because they have enough money, they can pick up someone, give them work that is needed or not needed, spare some little amount of their huge income. They can influence them positively and change their life. They become their godfathers, the fathers who provide which the natural fathers couldn't, which in itself is height of being self-righteous. Now here is Mr. Anton Chekhov. He is one of the all-time greatest short story writers. He was a medical practitioner by profession. He has a famous quote that says, "Medicine is my wife and literature is my mistress." He has written numerous short stories and plays, and they are all depicting the hypocrisy that are prevalent in the society. I'm sure you must have read many stories by Anton Chekhov in your previous classes, and you will continue reading one more in your standard 10th. It's a play over there. Now, he died at the young age of 44, and yet has left behind a treasure of short stories and plays that people still read and enjoy and can relate to even in this modern changing world. It's hard to believe he died just after 4 years after he got married, and before that he had produced one of the greatest literary pieces. Now it starts with a beggar begging for alms. He stopped at Advocate Sergei and requested him that he was a school teacher who has been removed because of deceit and damage of reputation by colleagues, and now he doesn't even have 5 kopecks to rent a room to stay. That's why he was staying in a. That's why he had to beg on streets. The Advocate Sergei looked at the beggar and he felt that he had seen this person before but couldn't really recognize. The beggar continued going on. He said, "You see, sir, I have been sleeping here on the streets. Since I have lost the job, I never got an opportunity. Now I have an opportunity of a job in Kaluga province, but I don't have enough money to travel there. So if you be kind and spare some amount of money." But Sergei, in the meantime, noticed the shoes of the beggar, and he quickly there was a difference in the size of ankles of the shoes, and he then looked at his face and he noticed 2 pink dots on his face, and he immediately recognized that he had seen this man before. He said, "Weren't you the person who I met at Sadovia Street? And that time you said you were a student who had been expelled, right?" He said, "No, no, no, sir." The beggar was suddenly taken aback. Abashedly, he said, "No, sir, it can't be true. I am a school teacher and I can show you my papers." Then Sergei then became very angry. He said, "You are trying to defraud me, taking money out of me by giving wrong reasons. And this is a criminal offense. And you should be ashamed of yourself." To which the beggar came out with the truth that he was actually a singer in a choir, Russian choir, But due to his drunkenness, he was thrown away and he lost his job. If he told people the truth that he was begging money so that he could buy more drink and get drunk even more, nobody would give him any. So he had no option to do. Just for food and drink, he had to beg. To which Sergei said, "What else can you do? You can work. Why do you have to lie and cheat people and win their sympathy and try to get out the money? Say, would you chop wood for me?" To which the mendicant said, "Sir, how can I? This is winter. Even experienced woodcutters don't get a job. How do you think I would manage to get a job as a woodcutter?" So he said, "Would you chop wood for me?" Sergey, the beggar agreed, and he went with Sergey. Sergey went to his home, instructed his cook Olga to take the beggar to the woodshed and make him chop woods. Beggar went behind Sergei with his head hanging. It was clearly evident that his body didn't have enough power to actually carry out that tedious hard work. He was too drunk and too weak. Besides, he was stabbed in his own words. He said, I am not getting work, that's why I am begging. So he was provided work, so he couldn't refuse. And now he was stabbed in his own words. He must have some pride and shame left, so he went with Sergei. Sergei looked through the window and he noticed Olga taking the beggar inside the woodshed. She pushed the door open and she pushed the beggar and pushed open the door of the woodshed. And the beggar went inside. Inside the woodshed, beggar picked up a small piece of wood and tried to chop it with his, but he was too weak to lift the heavy axe, and plus he was scared that he might end up hitting his toe instead of the piece of log, and that was a great challenge for the beggar. But he still tried. He put the log between his feet and tried to chop it with the blow of the axe. But what happened was the piece of wood fell down and it didn't chop. The beggar picked it up again and tried to continue doing it. Now, after that, she came back and Olga said the wood has been chopped. Sergei said, give him half a ruble and ask him to come back. We have enough work for him every day. Ask him to come. And since then, he started coming every week, and he kept working for. He got from 1 ruble to 5 rubles. These are small payments that he got. And once Sergei was changing his house, the beggar was asked to come and lift his things. The beggar didn't do much. After the job was done, Sergei summoned the beggar, handed him over a letter. Since the beggar could write, he was offered a job of copying. 2 years later, once outside the theater, Sergei noticed the beggar, the beggar actual name was Lushkov. So he's a Lushkov who was dressed properly, and he was very decently asked for tickets. That made Sergei very happy. Now he said, "See, your life has changed. You have become." He told him that I have become a notary and earned 35 rubles a month, and so on and so forth. So Sergei was very happy. You see, I am the one who changed your life. I picked you out from begging and gave you a job. To which the beggar agreed, "Yes, sir, you are the one who changed my life. But if it wasn't for your cook Olga, I wouldn't have changed." Then he told the story. Whenever the beggar went to work in Sergei's house, it was Olga who did all the work because she knew that beggar couldn't. But while she was doing, she always cursed the beggar, saying, "You have spoiled your life, you will not have place in hell." Although in words she showed abuse, but in action she helped him. So all the money he earned from Sergei was actually for job done by Olga, and Olga was responsible for changing his life. Then he bid goodbye. This is the story. So we take a lesson from this that love and affection has the power to change people's life. It was for Olga that that Lushkov gave up drinking. He felt ashamed every time he thought about Olga. He felt ashamed of himself and he couldn't drink. And that was the case, that affection showed by a lady, a helping hand, has more power to change you compared to money or the work given. If it was for it wasn't for Olga, Lashkov wouldn't have earned a single ruble. So this is it. You stay safe in home and make the world safe. Till we meet again. Goodbye.